You've been waiting on it. Here it is. My most recent submission for an anonymous story about why someone quit their job. I'm going to read it to you now. Again, I'm changing all the names and I will not include the company name just to keep everything anonymous so that no one gets in trouble. And feel free to submit your story to erinthequitter@gmail.com and I'll be glad to share it in the same format. I'm submitting this anonymously because I still care about the place I worked, even though it's the place that finally broke me. I am a hard worker with an excellent work ethic. For years, I worked over 123 hours every 2 weeks. That is a lot of hours, and that works out to like 60 hours a week. I came in early, stayed late, and did whatever was necessary to keep things running. I prepared the sandwich bar, accepted deliveries, and routinely arrived over an hour before everyone else, just to make sure the day could start smoothly. This wasn't optional. This was expected of me. I know where this is going. I worked with a coworker who made my job miserable for years. He was lazy, disrespectful, and careless. In a food environment, his beard hairs would get into everything. He talked back, ignored instructions, and refused to do his job properly. I complained repeatedly to management over the years. Privately, they agreed with me, but nothing ever changed. Of course. The excuse for keeping him was always the same. He shows up. Even though 95% of the time he was late. But he still was there. At one point, out of pure frustration, I said I might start working the way he did. I was immediately told I couldn't because they expected more from me. That sentence changed everything. I'm sure it did. You knew exactly what your worth was at that point. One employee was allowed to underperform, be late, and disrespect the workplace. Meanwhile, I was held to a higher standard simply because I always had been. Fairness was never the expectation, endurance was. They refused to let me post a job listing to replace him, but they had no problem posting one to replace me, of course. Most companies don't care. Most companies, you could die and within 12 hours your job is listed because they have to keep going and they don't keep going for you. Don't ever, I'm going to stop there. That's another topic. I was going to say don't ever let anybody say we're family, but that's another topic. All right, where was I? What made it worse is the manager was also my friend, or so I thought. If you can't be my friend, at least be a good manager, and she was neither. We had plans to run the place together. We were supposed to be a team. Losing the job hurt, but realizing the friendship wasn't real hurt more. He even bragged about how everyone puts up with his bullshit, and he was right. I grew to hate going to work. I was angry before my shift. I was angry when I left. I'm normally such a bubbly, happy person, and this job drained that out of me completely. What broke my heart is when I left, her daughter messaged me and just said, "Why?" And I replied, I just snapped. I finally snapped. This was a deli that had been in the same location for over 50 years. We make 19 kinds of sausage and have been featured in the news several times. Despite that, we were never paid overtime, which sounds like they might be breaking some rules there, even though we regularly worked far beyond normal hours. Our tips were taxed, and one of the owners even collected a paycheck without ever coming in. Well, nothing you can do about that, I guess, if they're the owner. But it seems like they'd want to come in and make sure that the company is doing what it's supposed to do. Anyways. When I finally quit, it was dismissed as me overreacting. Of course it was. But expecting one employee to consistently work harder than everyone else without fair pay, boundaries, and accountability is not leadership, it is exploitation. Could not have said it better myself. When you work hard and they know that you're not going to push back, you get exploited. And you look around and everybody else does not get treated the same. And it's awful. It's awful. But I guarantee that if she works this hard, a door is going to open for her somewhere. And I don't think she has a job yet based on some of the other things we've talked about, but a door is going to open for her and she's going to find a company that treats her with respect, probably pays her more. She's probably going to end up making more money. And it will be probably better for her in the long run. We'll see. We'll see. I didn't quit because I was weak. I quit because I was done being the only one expected to carry the load. Thank you so much for listening, Anonymous. Yeah, I think that's a story that most people can relate to. We've all worked with someone who did not work the way we worked, and they were late. They seemed to get away with things more. They seemed to not have to put forth as much effort, and you wonder why. Why do they get this treatment and I don't? I'm expected to work harder. I'm expected to work longer. They always ask the person who works the hardest to work more because they know that the work you're doing is actually going to be, more productive, and you're going to get better results from your work. So one thing that really sticks out to me about this story is how normalized it is to hold different people to completely different standards while calling it fair. Two people have the same job title, the same pay scale, the same responsibilities on paper, but one person is allowed to underperform, show up late, and ignore those rules because that's just how they are. And the other is expected to overperform, come in early, stay late, pick up the slack because they can handle it. At some point, being a hard worker stops being a compliment and it starts being a punishment. If expectations are higher for one employee, simply because they have better work ethic, that is exploitation, just like she said in her email. Especially when the reward for doing work is more work. So my question to you, is it actually fair to hold coworkers to different standards when they have the same job? Or are we just rewarding bad behavior and punishing the people who care? Submit your story to erinthequitter@gmail.com. I'll read it out anonymously and we can get input from the rest of the world on what happened to you.